So, welcome. This is Kathleen Ann, and I'm welcoming you to the When Spirit Floods In virtual summit. And today, my guest is Liisa Korpela. Hope I said that right.
Mm.
And so, what we're going into with When Spirit Floods In is this awakening and deepening of our connection with spirit and our connection with our soul and our soul's purpose and all of those wonderful experiences that we have that are especially like those peak experiences where we get those downloads and the spirit floods in and we feel that guidance. Ooh, I'm getting goosebumps when I say that. We
Yay.
feel that guidance coming in to direct us on our soul's path, that path of joy and happiness, that path to take us to our next step in our evolution and our ever eternal journey as divine souls. And so, what I want to ask you, Liisa, is can you share a peak experience that made a big difference in your life and where you felt that spiritual connection?
Mm. Well, where, as you mentioned that, the first thing that came up for me was this absolutely profound experience when I was on Mount Shasta. And I was with my ex-boyfriend at the time, and we had gone up there camping. And we were both firefighters and kind of worked out in the woods a lot, and so we were just kind of used to just like rolling up our sleeping bags and into the woods and kind of camping wherever. And um and we got up to this place, and very rarely camped actually in campgrounds. And we got up to this place, and there was really only one kind of high alpine campground that we needed to that we could camp at. And so, him being very resistant to being in the campground, he decided to kind of go bushwhacking through the woods, and he found this place. He's like, "Oh, we should camp over here." And so I went over there, and then I started kind of peeking through the woods, and there was this beautiful meadow. And so I just started following the creek and going up to the tip of this creek, and all of a sudden you can get to the spring, and there was this little well, like spring. And even as I was walking up there, I kind of felt this like uneasiness, because I'm like, we should be on a trail. Like, this is really like sensitive earth and this moss and this grass. And so there's this resistance in me of like him being the bushwhacker and me being like, no, I think we need to be on a trail. Like, the plants don't want us on top of them. And so then we got up to the spring, and I just, the bubbling of the water was coming up. And I don't know where this person came from. I hadn't seen anybody. And it was like this angel had just come out of the forest and sat down and told me the story of the spring. And I don't remember the details of the story, but it was just really just tapped into the preciousness of that land and how alive and active and communicating it was with me. And I sat at that spring, and I just, tears started flowing out of my eyes after the guy left. I was just really like, who was this angel who came with this beautiful message? And it just really moved me so much that I felt the land talking, and felt the mountain talking to me. And I just got very clear, like, we are camping in the campground. We are not allowed to put our sleeping bags on this really sacred meadow. And it was very profound. The next day, he decided we should bushwhack up that rocky mountain that we were at the bottom of and not take the trail. He starts climbing up these rocks, and I'm following him up these rocks, and we're getting higher and higher and higher. And at one point, these huge boulders started to shift, and I just went into absolute panic attack. And I was like, I can't go down, I can't go up. Like, what are we doing? Why are we going up this rocky trail? Like, and he came back down, calmed me down, and finally we made it back to the top of made it to the ridge. And it was such an intense climb. And I got to the top of that mountain, and it was so miraculous and beautiful. And the mountain was so alive. And it was just laughing at me because I was looking down this rocky boulder crevasses that we were climbing up of, and then I looked behind me and there's this really easy trail to get to the top of the mountain. And it was it was such a profound lesson of how much nature is communicating with us, and when we listen, and it just talks in a different way. And so there was just really magical moment, and I will always just remember getting to the top of that mountain, seeing the horizon. I felt like I could see all the way to Mexico or something. How far it was, but just really that deep sense that nature was guiding me to be a sacred steward, and to really be listening to what it was asking, and it really was very humbling.
That is so beautiful. I totally get that. I just had a beautiful experience with connecting with with the earth. I'm having more and more, and it's just I think the earth is really opening up to connecting so much more deeply and sharing multidimensional energies with us. And yeah, and Mount
I just
Shasta.
got goosebumps up my body from the earth. Yeah,
Yeah, Mount
she is
Shasta's
awakening. She's
so
awakening.
powerful.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's amazing. We have a plateau called Table Rock here
Mhm.
in the Medford area that has beautiful sacred indigenous energies are quite potent there. And I was just there like last week and did drumming and wow, did I had the biggest download of whoo,
Yeah.
amazing energy when I stood up and I was like, whoa, I'm a little dizzy.
The energy's big,
It
and the
is.
prayers are strong in this land for sure. For just so millennia, the indigenous people who call this their home really do. I definitely feel that aliveness in this land out here too. Yeah.
Yes. Beautiful. Beautiful connections with with the
Yeah.
earth. It's just it is really coming through. I was actually at Crater Lake a couple days ago, and
Oh,
that's
nice.
another amazing energies there. They're so pristine. Have you been there?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Love Crater Lake. Such a just yeah. Um yeah, just such a spirit place, a spirit mirror, and I love the story how the indigenous people did not tell the settlers about that lake, that they had kept it quiet and hidden because
Hmm.
they didn't want it to, it was a sacred space for them.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a really really beautiful place for sure. Wonder of the world.
Yeah. So how have your experiences with the earth shaped your work with um, your herbal work? That sounds very
Well,
interesting.
I found the plant path, which I just give so much gratitude to, really, when I started really connecting with the plants and realized, like, if I follow the green path, I will find my way home. And these are just, not just, these are our ancient ancestors. The plants they are our elders. And when I started studying, was studying biology at the university, and fiber textiles and natural dyeing and indigo dyeing, and then I just really loved, like, the utility of plants and like, wow, we can use plants as medicine and fabrics in our home and just like, wow, like how generous these beings are for us. And then that kind of led me into the path to start studying about herbal medicine. I'm like, wow, this is, we have this whole like, apothecary on the earth that really is there to support us to our wholeness and our well-being. And the plants have such great intelligence to surround us with their medicine when we need it. And one of my most profound awakenings on this herbal path was when I was doing a work trade for this woman that I was an herbalist I was studying with, apprenticing with. And I was out in her garden, and she has beautiful spiral like labyrinth garden. And I was doing some weeding, and I was underneath this milk thistle. And I was like weeding this milk thistle, and it kept on like poking me and scratching me and kind of like trying to tentatively get around it. And at the same time, I'm doing my mind circuit and I'm thinking about my job and these characters at my work. And there was a couple, and the one guy was not treating the woman very well, and he was really frustrating me. And so I was just ruminating about the situation and what was going on with them, and I just clearly got this message: just forgive him, just forgive him. And it just cleared the mind, and it cleared the circle, and it cleared the loop, and it was like, huh, I'm curious, like what is that, like, to forgive him? And so it just created this seed in me in this conversation to kind of stir and shift in this different way. And the next day we had class, and during lunch she puts all of her herb books on the floor, and I sat down and I picked up this book and I opened it up, and it was milk thistle, the plant of forgiveness. And I was just in awe. I was in awe because I was it was so clear to me that that plant was communicating with me. And it just became this light bulb moment for me to realize how much are the plants communicating with us, and we just don't even understand the language. We don't even understand how to hear it and to listen to them. And so that just became my quest, and my life's mission is to listen to the plants and hear what they're saying and hear what their medicine is, and open up to just the multitude of magnets, magic in them, besides just those beautiful liver tonic energies that help that kind of grief in our liver that the milk thistle will do, and the anger in the liver. It's like the forgiveness was the medicine. And so how they physically embody that medicine to us and spiritually embody that medicine. So that really got me on my life's journey to
That's
keep
a
on listening.
amazing, profound, yeah, amazingly profound way to connect and
Mhm.
learn and yeah, and be called.
Yeah, be called and then verified, right? Like it was such this like verification, and it became the sparkly breadcrumb that I was like, what else are they telling me? And how can I listen more deeply that I can hear these messages? Um and yeah, it was such a gift to really have that opening for me.
Yes, and I love that idea of listening because that is so so much a skill that I think we're all remembering, recalling the importance of listening because I know that as somebody working with sound, how important it is to listen and as I do um, listen to the body when I'm doing healing work, really that deepening of the listening is what I think what the indigenous peoples, understand that
Yeah.
depth of listening and giving gratitude for
Mhm.
the wisdom that is within the earth and the plants and all creation. Just,
All creation.
yeah,
Yeah.
just that's so important. I appreciate you bringing up that listening
Hmm.
importance.
Yes, I love that because the sound and the listening is what really moves us deeply, deeply within us and kind of
Yes.
carries this internal world within. Yeah.
Yeah. On that note, um, how do you feel like your listening has progressed in working with plant medicine?
Mm. Well, I think I kind of want to zoom back to like some of the awareness that I gained through how much I wasn't listening and how barriers in my own self identity were um catching me up to really or hanging me up to not fully embrace this flow and this movement and as I started kind of burrowing into like what holds us back from this space, it's really through these layers of my own limiting beliefs in consciousness that as I started peeling them back, that it gave me the energy to burrow deeper and deeper into this space. And as I started this inquiry, it was, you know, first listening to my own voice, right? Those judges, those saboteurs within me that really were um, holding me back from a place of self-love and realizing how I had not embodied what self-love was and through the parenting and ancestry and all our cultural world, how much I had these programs of, oh, if you love yourself, then you're fully yourself. And being fully yourself is something that you don't want to be, right? Because this is looked as you're snooty or you're conceited. And when I really kind of started looking at that pattern, I realized
Mhm.
um, if I'm not full of myself, then I'm full of everybody else's stuff. And
True.
so actually, I want to be full of myself and to a place that I'm so full of myself that I'm overflowing. And then from that place of overflowing, that's where we share in a generous, receptive way instead of trying to fill ourselves with everybody else's ideas and thoughts and approvals of what would be, how we seek love. So that was a huge beginning of for me to realize some of these limiting beliefs in myself and starting with like my own self-love and then as I started opening up that heart space and opening up that conversation with me and my own heart and my own love um it started to burrow deeper into other patterns of how I um see myself. It's almost like moving through the chakras, like going down into the will, into my sun, and how do I see myself, how do others see me, and how through these patterns of safety, um of you know when we're seen, then we could be put for, others can judge us. And so all these like deep patterns that started to create friction within me from my own hurts and my own past lives or however that may be expressed. And then the deeper I went, it's like, wow, like we're so divided from ourself and our self-love. We're divided from our will and our energy to share in the world, and then divided through our sexual orientation, that male and female energy, that like we are, that divide and conquer, that we are separated as male and females and that we're pitted against each other instead of in this sacred union. And and then as I went deeper, it was a deep conversation of how we were all indigenous at one point, and that was our relationship. in connection with the land, and how that is actually one of the first divides, or one of the first several divides that really broke us from understanding this divine flow and creation moving through us, is not being connected to the land, and realizing we are in this co-creative, beautiful relationship with Gaia. And um and then when we tap into the earth and deeply connect with our home, well, that is where that sacred grace comes through, right? Because that is where we can now open up this um that divinity within us, that crack the seed of our potential is through that divine spark. But all those shells have to come off for us to actually be able to crack open, right? And it felt so far for me, like there was so much callousing and scars and formation around, that to chisel away at those pieces to become softer, to open, um, is really where, it's through that deep connection with the earth that we can allow that true divine flow that gives us those goosebumps to come through, which, and let that spirit flood in, as you so beautifully creating this container for.
Yes, that's lovely. I love how you brought self-love into that in and the the challenges that we all go through in releasing all of the conditioning that we take on ourselves, that and we do it without realizing it as children. We just take all that on, and so then we get to, as adults, we get to go through recognizing that and recognizing the judgments, the self-judgments, and how to um, let those go and shift into that love. And yes, I totally agree that the earth just is fully accepting, that that's where I've always felt the safest is just in nature, with nature and with the plants and the trees and the earth, and just feeling fully accepted and wholly accepted. And then, yeah, taking that experience and saying, how do I bring that into my human relationships also?
Yes, yes, absolutely. And curious as to, like, why the human nature, has fallen so far out of the garden, that of the grace of just the beautiful acceptance of nature, and that how this mind has kind of um, trapped us into this place of disconnection, and so, like, really finding our way back home, um, through the heart, bringing this mind energy back to the heart so we can really connect with the earth. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, that is, um, yeah, that provides the opportunities for feeling the spirit
Mhm,
when we start to feel that connection and we start to open up,
mhm,
then that just brings in more connection.
mhm.
More,
Absolutely.
which is what we all, which we're all searching for, that reconnection that we had probably, with our incarnation. We
Mm,
had that deep connection with spirit, with creator, with source. Um, and then that was part of our journey, was experiencing the separation. And I think now, we're in the cycle of returning to return
yes.
to spirit, to our divine nature, and our all of our unity, our connection in that.
Yeah. I've contemplated this, like, evolutionary journey, and how we, I kind of saw it like a pendulum, but maybe it's more like the spiral, right? Because, like, the DNA is kind of spiraling. So we get to another level, but maybe at the same place of the spiral, but it's kind of the next level.
Mhm.
But this pendulum energy, or this shifting energy of how, as a society, we were very much, our identity was connected to our community, and our family. And if you were a blacksmith, you would be, your son would be a blacksmith, and you would carry on these lineages of identity. And how we now have moved through this place of individuation, right? To separate ourselves, to break free from these identities that we are inherited, to reclaim what is ours. And so, but now we're so individuated, we're so separated, we're all 6 feet apart, right? Kind of like there we went to the ultimate individuation of 8 billion people on the planet, that we are now coming, we need to come back to this place of reconnecting and remembering and bringing those parts back together, and to compost the things that don't serve us, right? And maybe, and then to also realize the richness of those skills that were handed down as the blacksmith, like the beauty in that and the richness in that, when it's an invitation versus like an expectation. So I love how so many people are kind of reclaiming even parts of their own lineage, um, in that way of, we kind of move away from what our parents did, but then as we age and grow, we kind of remember all those threads that were really valuable for us.
Yes, that ancestral connection and yeah, recognizing what we've carried for our ancestors, and
Mhm.
then the medicine that can help us heal ourselves as well as all of our ancestors. Sometimes I see that in the healing work that I do. It's just kind of this ripple of letting go for the client, and then through the generations. It just is a beautiful, it's beautiful that we can be of assistance to that ancestral energy and heal through many generations.
I love that. I do. Yeah. And just having a daughter, like, I know I'm passing things on, but how can I like clear that field as much as possible and transform it, with intelligence and understanding that, these things are coming through the bloodline, but like we can now look at these things with a different vantage point, and and then heal the lineage that was in the past as well into the future. So um, yeah, I feel really fortunate that we as are in a place that we can actually, we have the skill set, we have tools, we have the ability to actually to do this work, which the previous generations were not able to.
Yes. Yes, we're all here at this time for for carrying that forward. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Lovely. So, what would you like to offer those that are watching this program?
Hmm. What would I like to offer? Well, I was hearing when just a little bit ago when you were talking, but just like something came through in just your work with sound, um, is really just that, you know, the world is in such chaos and such doom and gloom and war and destruction, and and just so we're so immersed in this. And so how do we cannot plant seeds in this barren asphalt soil. And so, how do we regenerate this soil and regenerate this land in a way that we are able to plant the seeds for the next generations? And um, my mentor, had always said, she's like, when you're freaking out and the war and what are we going to do and this and that and like, all the like we got to fight, we got to this, we got to that, like how do you solve these problems? And her um and her mentor had told her, okay, put the tea kettle on. Let's make tea. Let's say prayers. Let's dance. Let's have babies. You know, let's get around the fire and that sacred drum. And that was the piece that I saw, like, oh, the sound of the drum and the heartbeat of our humanity that circles around that fire is our way back to home, right? Back through these lineages and connections. And so how can we build more fire circles in metaphor and reality that bring the heartbeat back into ourselves and humanity? And that so much feels like um a simple thing, but like the most profound healing medicine that we can really actually do at this time to um yeah, remember our humanity in that deep way.
Beautiful. Yes, I I have felt that call
Mhm.
to just yeah, just hold more healing circles, drumming circles, and
Mhm.
be on the land. And yes, that land is really calling for collaboration. I think Mother Earth is calling for collaboration to that we come together and work with her and that she will just give us what she needs. You know, she'll give us the energy of what she needs so that we can bring that through and
Yeah.
share that with her and with each other. So yeah,
Yeah, and it's I mean, it's through some of the inquiry of like evolution and these scientific models and when I realized, like a lot of our teachings have been based off of Darwin and this evolutionary model of competition, survival of the fittest. And we've taken this track a really long time and we've created a lot of mentality and belief around this idea. And yet at the same time, I can't remember the name of the guy, there was also a conversation about um, the the co-collaboration. And actually, we see the earth is much more symbiotic and cooperative in supporting life form than it is in dominating. And it's like the dominating mentality over nature to even our perception of nature is what
hmm
has really kind of pulled us out of this beautiful web of life, this collaborative web of life, that Mother Earth wants us to be in co-creation with her and connection and cooperation, right? And to really be listening in a deep way because um, she's bountiful and regenerative and self-healing.
yes, yeah, totally. She is that divine feminine, and yeah,
Hmm.
I attribute some of what you're saying to the masculine model that's been that yeah dominate and that's just been kind of projected on the earth like the earth is getting back at us when it has earthquakes or
Right.
tornadoes or floods and yeah that's just been that mindset being projected
Yeah,
and
that we did something wrong, right? That we were bad. And so instead of like being curious of what it could teach us, right? Yeah.
yes yeah I know for some reason I'm really led back to times of Atlantis and Lemuria and just feeling into that energy of that level of collaboration with nature and the elements. Just yeah, I could just feel that energy of that. Uh, just elements were so integrated into the humans at that time. It was just such a um, free and open relationship and yeah, just that flow. That flow was there.
Yeah, well, just that understanding or understanding, that these were part of the building blocks of this, um, temporal world that we're living in. These elementals are part of the alchemy of this planet, and how and we're all part of that, we're all part of that, and our consciousness has become so separated from that. And I even kind of just being deeply connected to the earth and wanting to people to reconnect with the earth. And like, also I want to offer that, like, we're not in a climate crisis, we're actually in a consciousness crisis.
Yes.
And how we perceive the earth is really actually, you know how we need to, that's the medicine to move us forward. And I see the world putting a lots of ideas of how to be green and how to support the planet. And being kind of being in this herbal industry, I've seen a lot of greenwashing through the time.
Right. You're
And
like,
so
yeah,
there's lots of illusion of what looks green, but it
legislating it. Yeah.
exactly. Legislating it, and labeling it, to be these tags so that you can have higher price points, but then like these very empty labels. And so, you know, the labels aren't going to make us shift our consciousness, right?
Mhm.
And so the consciousness is actually how we are relating with the earth and the elements, in a deeper, more meaningful way.
Yeah, I love that. That's a very profound point that you've made about that it is, yeah, that it is a consciousness
Hmm.
issue, not a climate change issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, actually, excuse me.
And that's not to say that we're not polluting the planet and we're not messing
Right,
things up, and and that there is things in our consciousness that need to be remedied, right? So it's not like to dilute the extinction level that we're going through and the pollution level we're going through, but um, we're trying to solve the problem with the same
right.
consciousness.
Approach, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember one spiritual teacher saying, if everybody truly loved themselves, the whole earth would change.
It's so simple and so profound. And it's also, we're trained to save everyone outside of us, to love everyone outside of us, you know, and yet it all starts within ourselves, right? So if I'm full of myself, my cup is overflowing, then I can be of service to this greater web of life, because I have the energy to connect, because I am full of love and full of love to share, instead of looking for love to fill my empty space. Yeah.
Yes, letting that spirit flood in.
Let that spirit flood in. That's so beautiful, and it's really through opening the heart and connecting with the earth is my mission, to allow that spirit to flood in. Yeah.
And it certainly does.
Mhm.
Certainly does if we just have that intention and we just sit with nature and let it inform us. It just has so much to share.
Mhm. So true. So true.
Wonderful. Is there anything else that you would like to share?
Mm, really just, my biggest medicine is, you know, get your shoes off, get your feet on the ground, go and listen to the plants. And even if you're in the middle of the city, there are tiny dandelions cracking through the sidewalk, which are, they've got their own sweet medicine, cleaning the liver and the kidneys of the earth, and so they're coming through as um as medicine to remind us how resilient nature is. Um and just the more that we connect with nature and find little tiny moments to hear the bird or witness the flower or feel the rain or wind, um, we enliven that connection. And so we need to invest, pay attention to this currency of this beautiful Gaia energy.
Well, thank you. That what you've shared has been so beautiful and it really inspired me also to to just be that much more aware of everything that I see. And yeah, keep listening more deeply, keep um, asking and seeking for that deeper knowledge and that deeper self-love and allowing the spirit to come in through Mother Earth, through all of the avenues of creation that it's available to us.
Mhm.
So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. Thanks for having this
Been
event.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes. And we will just say goodbye
Bye.
and take care, everyone. Thanks so much.
Thank you.